The next two powerful clips are from a chat we had with Superintendent Rahesha Amon-Harrison and teacher leadership coach Una-Kariim A. In it, we learn how Brooklyn's District 16 is working to bring their community together using mindfulness, ancient practices, and traditions that preserve the history and culture of the Bedford-Stuyvesant community.
A recent trip that I took to Senegal, I realized that these things were a part of, and this is why we speak so much about and have connected this to tradition. This was just a part of who we intrinsically were, and it was something that was taken away from us as we, were colonized. And so I think it can be taught. I think it is something that was a part of our DNA, our fabric. I think there have been practices, even in my own family lineage, that were mindful practice, but not named as such, right? Going to church on Sunday and being able to just exhale really was a practice of mindfulness when that was the only space in, the Black community that you could show up as yourself authentically, right? And you could speak and say, hey girl, and shout because you were feeling the music, and music being so important to us, right? And a part of that gumbo of mindfulness. And so I think it was there. But what I appreciate about when you say, can it be taught? Yes, because listen, like Una said, I am not perfect and I am a work in progress. But when I look at even the person I was 8 years ago or 9 years ago and 10 years ago, lots of what I practice now is someone taught it to me. Mm-hmm. And even my recent trip to Senegal, I was able to gather some new tools, right, that are sustaining me, that I'm adding to what I thought was already a rich, mindful practice, but allowing me to build and go deeper to that connection of self. And then again, connecting back to what I said my superpower is in terms of being the light, and how describe it as like how I show up, like how am I showing up?
For me, it was always a seeking out that thing that was lost in colonization. What were the traditions? And across the continent, there are multiple traditions because there's multiple countries. And so I had the opportunity to travel to South Africa with a mutual friend of Rahesha's and mine, Phyllis Jeffers, and then I also went to Zambia. And so I too gained some exposure to traditions that were practiced in those countries, and then just my own curiosity of what other practices exist. So if I'm in Barcelona or if I'm in Spain, what are people doing to center themselves, to ground themselves in a world, or be present with themselves or be present with others in a world that's so chaotic, or just when you need that space to be able to take the next step because you've received some hard information or you're about to walk on stage and do a presentation. How do you ground yourself? How do you present to people who are looking for something from you when you feel depleted because you may be going through so much? So you have to ground. And for me, I know I have to ground myself sometimes in order to be present, in order to show up. And so like Rahesha said, it wasn't so much named as I was growing up, but it was there in the air. It was there in the practices of my grandparents. It was there in the practice of my mother, who eventually began teaching yoga, or my friend Anne, who was teaching yoga. So I saw practices that became popularized, and I didn't want those things to become so inaccessible or esoteric to others that I felt would help. And so I think that's why I began to speak about it, and why Rahesha and I began to speak about it and make that connection to ancient practices, because sometimes mindfulness or just yoga or saying meditation doesn't always resonate with some of the people that we get to speak with on a daily basis. And so I wanted to try to language and name and practice and model something for others, young people, other adults, that I find valuable in my ability to be able to help myself show up and help others show up, or at least I hope I'm helping others show up as their best selves.
To listen to the whole interview, go to educatingmindfully.org/academy.